Sorry that took a little bit to get going. I just had to do a couple things, set a couple things up. It's been kind of a mad dash to get everything ready in time tonight. I've been really crunched on my schedule, so hopefully everything is in order, or at least in order enough to go along with the episode as we are headed into episode 7, Treat the Pain of season 1 of Sharpest Tool. So I hope you're excited. Thank you for being here. It is going to be our second to last episode of the season, so next Friday will be the finale of season 1, but I'll have more details about that, like the episode name and stuff, on the March schedule in the Discord at the end of this month, of course. My pings are getting long, so they're kind of bothering me, so I'm sorry if I'm fidgeting with them constantly tonight. This look was put together in like 10 minutes, so hopefully it reads all right on camera. That was the thing that kind of went by the wayside as I was finishing up actual like sim outfits and stuff for the episode. We do have some intense stuff going on tonight, and I wanted to maybe try and figure out some other ways to like show it to you in the Sims as well, to like get across the vision that I want, but I didn't super have time. Again, crunched on time tonight, so one of the other things that kind of fell to the wayside was me trying to find some like poses and animations and stuff, or like figure out exact objects that would work the best. So tonight's just going to be a real listen to what I'm saying, not exactly what the Sims are doing, and let's pretend that they're pantomiming or doing some of the actions that I'm telling them to that I'm not going to be able to nail on the visuals. But just pay attention to my storytelling and pretend that's what the Sims are doing, okay? But okay, I'm nervous to get into this episode, but I'm very, very excited. It's some stuff I've been wanting to get to for a while. So with that being said, so it is, nighttime in our universe, and we start our episode in the lair with a couple of new faces here. Sorry, I just need to rearrange some windows to see my script. As Dmitri is standing here in front of two kind of confused and scared looking young men. Caesar by his side, of course, and Isaiah is off to the side, as Dmitri is kind of giving the once-over on these two dudes, looking at them, and sort of like evaluating them just by looking at them, as he kind of walks over to them and starts to make them even more nervous by circling them a bit. Dmitri asking them, "So what has Isaiah told you?" The first guy on the left here saying just that our strength and skill might be helpful for a new project. The other guy responding, "Yeah, that you're looking to like gather people to protect the campus after all the recent attacks or something." As Dmitri just continues to circle them, keeping his stoic expression and monotone lecturing voice, of course, saying, "Correct, and are you two capable of that?" The first guy, again on the left, saying, "Oh, yes, sir, I've been doing karate since high school to help stabilize my anger issues." The other guy responding as well, a little bit more cocksure than the one on the left, saying, "Yeah, I can hold my own. I've long thought we should be using more drastic forces to keep this shithole safe. No offense, sir," as Dimitri's face kind of scowls at him a little bit there, saying, "Well, I don't take kindly to such bravado, but you'll be excused this once. What I'm looking for is people who can truly hold their own. Do you think that they can truly make it in the field, Isaiah?" As he turns to the blonde member, Isaiah, of course, who has been brought in on the plans to reinstate the League of Protectors, of course, and has brought these two here. Isaiah saying, "Yes, sir. I mean, I wouldn't have brought them if I didn't think so." Dmitri saying, yes, well, unfortunately, as he kind of stops threateningly circling the two new guys here, continuing on. Unfortunately, I don't simply take people's word for it, as much as this young man, pointing over to Caesar by his side here, can be weak-minded. He is one of the best fighters in the league. He's quiet and he stays in the shadows, but he's lethal if he needs to be. Caesar's face, like, kind of falling a little bit at the jab at him, of course, but almost seeming surprised at the kind of compliment coming from Dmitri about his skill level as far as fighting, at least. The first guy in the red here saying, wait, I thought the league was non-lethal. Dmitri going, yes, that is what the welcome kit says, isn't it? If you are to take this position, you'll be facing those with twice as much power as you, but half as much training. Although if things escalate, you may well be facing those with just as much fighting skill as someone like Caesar. As the guy on the right says, yeah, understood. Before Dmitri kind of takes another step forward, saying, no, I don't think you do. Before I let either of you go further, I need to make sure you're worth my time. You'll each take on Caesar, and if you don't get absolutely torn to shreds, then we'll go from there. As the two of you guys start to kind of nervously look between each other, even Caesar looking a little bit startled at the headmaster's words, looking over at him and saying, sir, you didn't tell me that's why I was here. Dmitri snapping around at him and saying, what, do you think you can't take these underlings? Caesar going, no, that's not what I meant. I just... Dmitri, cutting off his stammering and saying, you will test them, and that is final. Stepping back as Caesar seems a little bit conflicted, but ultimately giving in and saying, yes, sir. Caesar stepping up to kind of square up to the two, but in sort of a cordial, like, professional manner, as Caesar says, all right, well, I see we've both sparred before and know the protocol. Dmitri cutting in again, though, and saying, no, you aren't sparring. Caesar seeming startled again and turning back to the headmaster, going, what do you mean? As Dmitri continues on, staring really intensely into Caesar's eyes and saying, you're going to test them, and you aren't going to hold back. Caesar's starting to look kind of concerned as almost like without his control, starting to transform into his dark form, and seeming to get really like amped up and raged up as Dmitri continues to focus his really intense gaze on Caesar's face, a little scrap of fear crossing Caesar's eyes before he absolutely just snaps into a kind of feral rage and lunging at the two over here to begin to attack them as the two try and prove their worth right away. Isaiah's even kind of taken aback as well, stepping to the side along with Dmitri as the three of them start a really rough and intense fight. Dmitri merely smiling as he continues to evaluate exactly how these two newbies are doing. It is bright and early in the morning now at our main three's humble abode, and an interesting sight that has not seen this kitchen in quite a while, but Birdie is actually in the kitchen making some pancakes for breakfast as Lynx is coming out of her room and joining them over in the kitchen, kind of confused, just sort of giving them a raised eyebrow expression as Birdie continues to work along and cook. Birdie bright and chipper in the morning and saying, hey, good morning, my feisty little roommate. Lynx just kind of looking around her and behind her, trying to make sure that she's not in a dream before she responds, morning, buddy. Birdie responding, it's not Buddy, it's Birdie, silly. just kind of chuckling to themselves as Lynx is still very confused, going over to some of the milk that's sitting, like the milk carton still sitting out on the counter, sniffing it to just kind of make sure that she's not the crazy one and that it does still smell repulsive, even just thinking about eating it, and it definitely does, as Birdie just kind of continues on saying, stupid dad joke, I know, but I mean, you can blame my actual father for that. Ugh, the amount of times I've had to hear some variation of it, including the conversation where I told my parents my new name. He was all, you're not just my buddy now, you're my Birdie too. Lynx just kind of cutting them off and saying, so, are those like plasma pancakes? Or Birdie making a disgusted face and going, ugh, God, no. They're regular pancakes. Homemade pancakes, baby. As Lynx stares at them for another moment as Birdie's starting to plate some of them up and going, Birdie, have you lost it? As they go ahead and laugh at Lynx again and say, no, Lynx, leaning across the counter and saying, I found it. Thoroughly just continuing to confuse Lynx at this point before Birdie just goes, all right, I'm plating this up, so go be a dear, wake up Maya and get her ass down here, please. As Lynx is not exactly sure how to respond still, but just figuring that maybe Maya will know what to do a little bit better than she will, as Lynx kind of confusedly heads on up the stairs over to Maya's room, where Maya is currently doing some dark meditation. I'll get her into some dark meditation here really quick, since she's finally kind of learned to let herself go and let that weightless feeling take over her body and learn how to truly start to really harness those mental powers and do some dark meditation instead of just the regular meditation. I can make her tired enough to do it. Maya just really truly focusing as Lynx heads up to her room and kind of knocks lightly on the door, calling out to her saying, yo, nerd, Maya, wake up. Your friend is being even weirder than you this morning. Lynx getting annoyed at the lack of response and just deciding to head on into her room. Oh yeah, never mind. She will be able to get I forgot I put the attic stairs in front of her door. It's fine. There's a path through the bathroom. As Lynx just heads on in her regular bedroom door, though, just kind of fidgeting with things on Maya's desk as she finishes up and finally realizes that Lynx is here and trying to talk to her. Maya saying, oh, sorry, it's super hard to hear anything when I'm that deep under. Lynx seeming kind of impressed still at Maya's ability to levitate there and really get into it, going, yeah, I mean, you're getting pretty good at that. Maya saying, yeah, I mean, it's still scary, but I can almost feel my brain getting stronger somehow the more I use it. Seeming really pleased with herself at that, as Lynx kind of chuckles and just says, yeah, only you would think that's a cool sentence. As Maya rolls her eyes and just says, wait, did you just enter my room before I answered? Lynx rolling her eyes in kind and just saying, oh, whatever, come downstairs, please. Birdie is making breakfast, as it sort of warrants or elicits a similar response from Maya, somewhat confused blank stare. Maya asking, what do you mean? As Lynx says, yeah, exactly what I said. And since you've known them a decade longer than me, I feel less equipped to deal with this level of battiness. Before Maya just kind of stares at her and squints for a minute and says, pun intended. Lynx just absolutely face-palming, going, oh, God, no, bad, awful, just come, please. As the two of them head downstairs with Birdie making up 3 full plates for them with coffee and some tea for Maya, of course, and setting it in front of each place setting here. I'll try and get them to actually do that. Face lighting up again as their 2 roommates come on down the stairs there. Here, we'll put 3 little pancakes out. Saying, oh, there you two are. God, I thought I was gonna have to drag you guys down here, ushering them over to the chairs to sit down. Maya seeming surprised and giving a kind of confused look at Lynx behind her, as Lynx kind of shoots back at, like, see, I told you so. Look, the 2 of them kind of obliging, even though they're still a little bit rattled by whatever's happening, as Maya takes her seat saying, Bird, I thought we were past the denial stage. Birdie going, oh, yeah, no, definitely. I'm like way through all of the stages. Or, I mean, maybe not quite at acceptance. I guess maybe more bargaining. Whatever. Sit down, sit down. I know this looks weird, but I'm nothing if not one for dramatics. Maya and Lynx still looking confused and skeptical, but remaining seated to listen to whatever wild answer Birdie is going to give them here as Birdie continues on. All right, okay. I know how this looks, and I promise I'm not completely on another planet. I just have very exciting news. So, as you know, I have been very hard at work lately, and I'm sorry that I've been such an absent friend and roommate, but the nonstop working has definitely paid off. Look, Diana was brilliant, but just like Florence said, and I think she was really close to figuring out an answer, but unfortunately with some of her side projects getting discovered and her taking herself down with that knowledge, it sort of cut that short. It took a while to decipher some of the scribbles, and it took a lot of tome skimming, but I realized what Diana was trying to do, and why she had so many weird, like, dried peppers and spices and cans of things up in her study. Maya and Lynx still kind of listening intently, but still not exactly grasping where Birdie is going, as Birdie still continues to look very excited and jittery as they lean closer to both of them and say, Diana was trying to figure out a way for us to eat human food again. Lynx and Maya finally, like, having a bit of some understanding, looking at each other surprised at that, as Birdie kind of continues, like,
see, she figured out how to fabricate plasma to sustain oneself adequately. Beforehand, when the League started their pacifist run, they only sustained themselves on the bare minimum of red meats and the occasional hospital donation. But then, Diana figured out how to grow and harvest plasma fruit that mimicked enough nutrients needed to keep them more fed and strong than anything else short of what pure human remains could. But I don't think she was satisfied with that. She wanted to push it farther and figure out a way for vampires to not even need a substitute, but just be able to feed themselves like normal. Lynx taking Birdie's eager pause there to raise an eyebrow and say, so, wait, are you saying? Birdie, not able to hold back their excitement and cutting her off, saying, I'm saying that I've been working with this other kid in my class, Lynn. He's nice, quiet, doesn't ask questions I don't want him to. Dorky cute, but genius like me. Maya and Lynx sharing a little nervous look with each other, Birdie immediately catching it and saying, don't worry, he knows nothing, and I've been mainly working on other things with him, but his perspective helped me crack the code of what she was doing, and from there it was somewhat smooth sailing. I just wish Diana had a little bit more time because she was so close, but her loss is our gain. Birdie pushing the plates closer to the other two, who still seem a little bit nervous, especially as they set 2 small shot glasses of liquid in front of each of them. Lynx and Maya eyeing it a little bit suspiciously as Birdie continues praising themselves and almost jumping out of their seat, saying, I did it. I fucking did it. I've only tried it out a couple of smaller snacks so far, but it's worked every time. If you take that shot, you should be able to eat human food for no problem for at least 3 hours. Maya's starting to perk up a little bit more at hearing that, and trusting that, her best friend knows what they're talking about, sharing a sheepish smile with Birdie, saying, oh my god, Birdie, seriously? Birdie just nodding smugly and going, mm-hmm. Lynx finally jumping on the train as well as she continues to further believe it as well, saying, dude, that's incredible. Birdie going, yes, I will happily take all of your praise at another time, but for now, let's dig in. Maya and Lynx still seeming a little bit nervous, but looking at each other and taking the shot before trying the food to discover miraculously that Birdie was correct. They can easily eat it, all 3 of them moaning happily and digging in to scarf down at a record pace the first real human food that they have had in quite a long time.
We head back to the lair during this afternoon as Florence is walking through the lair on her way on down to the archives. But as she's walking, she passes one of the guys that we saw earlier and notices that he's really beat up. He's got like a black eye, he's all kind of, he's got lots of healing scrapes and bruises and bumps going on, and she does a little bit of a double take before stopping and calling out to him as he kind of just tries to quickly pass by her, but she stops and goes, oh, hey, Joseph, oh my god, are you all right? As he kind of flinches at her calling out to him, seeming almost frightened for a second before realizing who's talking to him, and kind of hearing the concerned tone in her voice. Him sort of wincing as he adjusts his backpack strap on his shoulder, going, "Oh, yeah, Miss Beasley, I'm all right." Florence saying, "Oh, you look pretty beaten up. Are you sure?" Joseph replying, "Yeah, I just got into a fight with one of the other guys on the football team after practice, just over a girl, stupid college boy shit. I'll recover," trying to sort of quickly slink away again, but Florence persisting and saying stupid college boy shit involving claws, kind of staring at the huge slash gash going from his shoulder up his neck, kind of peeking out from underneath his collar there. Joseph looking down at it and realizing how bad it looks as well, before saying, "It was with Adam. Actually, if you see him looking a little rough, too, he got a little carried away." Florence, squinting a bit, skeptical, but seeing how uncomfortable and jittery the boy looks as he bounces back and forth on his feet, as she decides to drop it for now, at least. Hello, Sims? We're fucking prank day. As Florence says, "Alright, well, I'm not just the vice president of this place. I'm still a counselor at the university as well, if you ever need anything, okay? As a student." Joseph kind of giving her a small and genuine seeming smile as he says, "Thanks, Miss Beasley, will do." Florence still kind of looking concerned at him as the boy kind of wanders off, walking a little bit slow and pained as he does finally head on out of the lair for the day, but Florence still needing to get some stuff done on her own, and deciding to head down to the archives as she was originally planning, but still keeping that in mind, of course. And as she sort of makes it down the stairs and is heading down the hallway over to the archives, just as she's reaching the bottom of the stairs, she sees Yazmin exiting the archives and turning around, actually pulling out a set of keys and locking the doors, just like Florence has done 1,000 times to the archives herself. But, this is just one of the Intermediate League members. Florence yelling out to her and going, "Hey, what are you doing in there, young lady? And why do you have a set of keys to this place?" Yazmin kind of rolling her eyes and sighing as she turns around to address Florence. As Florence continues on herself, going, "Only Headmaster Solomon and I own a set of keys to that room, and you need permission to enter." "I have mine on me, so where did you get another set?" As Yazmin says, "They're my own, and I don't know what you take me for, but I would never do something so disobedient as steal from the headmaster. He gave these to me." Florence is squinting at that, kind of being incredibly unheard of that Dmitri would do that, as Florence says, "You're an intermediate. Why would he give you a set of keys?" Yazmin continuing on, sort of appreciating reveling in some of the confusion that Florence is showing here, as she's kind of got the upper hand over her superior, saying, "That I'm not at liberty to tell you. Maybe you should just recognize that you're not the only one that Dmitri trusts." As Yazmin decides to cut the conversation there and kind of wander off, as Florence sort of mutters under her own breath, "Dmitri?" Surprised at the kind of flippant way that Yazmin has referred to the headmaster. Yazmin tossing over her shoulder saying, "Have a good day, Florence," as she heads on up the stairs and out of the lair. Florence continuing on her own path to head on into the archives here, as she was trying to do in the first place anyways. Seeing that nothing has necessarily been disturbed in here. Everything seems to be put back in its place, at least, but still pretty disturbed by most of the interactions that she's had on her way into the archives today, muttering again to herself that, "God, I have to figure out what the hell is going on around here. And fast." Join our main three in their home again, as it is growing later into the night. They're kind of done with their activities for the day. Oh, we got some very creepy music playing apparently on the stereo, but there are snacks and meals and empty chip bags and soda bottles abound, as the three of them have kind of just been hanging out and gorging on some food pretty much and enjoying themselves. So they all three seem pretty elated and having an amazing time still, just kind of grabbing as many snacks as they can, as all the Sims are going to try and wash dishes when they're done. making happy, you know, content sounds, being able to just kind of snack on stuff again as Lynx continues on saying, "Oh my god, I forgot how good chips are." Maya saying, "Oh, absolutely, this is the best Sunday I've ever had in my entire life." Lynx continuing on. I've tried to tell myself that, like, I don't miss chips and cake and ice cream, but fuck, I was so wrong. Oh, I'm just gonna be able to grab a brownie whenever I want again. Oh, this is so liberating. Hello, Sims? Excuse the random people entering my home. Go away, please. The door is locked. Hello? Anyways. Pardon the interruption. As they continue eating, and Maya looks over though, and Birdie's face seems a little bit less enthused here, as they're kind of staring down at their phone, a bit disgruntled, shaking their head and putting it back in their pocket. As Maya continues on though, saying, "Yeah, it's so weird how abnormal this feels. Like, we got used to cutting all this stuff out so quickly." Kind of looking sad herself as she starts to realize how much of those regular human activities they have really gotten acclimated to cutting out of their day-to-day so fast. As Lynx says, "Well, no longer will we have to spend our mornings sucking down those terrible satanic Capri Suns." Maya, realizing that Birdie still seems a little bit lost in thought, as she calls over to them saying, "Everything okay, Birdie?" Birdie responding, "Oh, yeah, no, don't worry about it. I'm here," and also nutting over how amazing this junk food is. It's just, Yasmin's really been on my ass lately, and she's texting yet again about how I haven't really spoken to her in the past couple days, but I've been so focused on other things, and sorry it's not my priority to report into the league, or whatever the hell she wants. As Maya realizes, "Oh, right, our pledges, are we gonna tell them in the league about this?" Lynx saying, "Oh, I'm sure Blake would kill it to have wings again," before Birdie cuts both of them off, saying, no, please, not yet, at least." Maya's face kind of falling a little bit, sort of wanting to share some of this joy with her friends that she's made at the league there. As Birdie continues on, "Please don't show off your powers, I swear to God." There we go, that's fine. I don't know why they changed seats a million times during conversation. I'm very sorry. Maya continues on. Birdie, I know you're really wary of them, but Lena and Blake have been nothing but nice and accommodating to us so far." Lynx saying, "Yeah, and if Blake ever did anything to hurt me or anyone I care about, I would kneecap him." Maya kind of shyly staring at Lynx, at her saying people that she cares about, but trying not to read too much into it. She's pretty sure that, you know, she's not exactly sure how Lynx feels about it at this point, but pretty sure that she probably still hates her. Hello, Sims? Stop it. As Birdie just continues on saying, "That's nice, and I like them, don't get me wrong. I'm really glad you guys are making friends and reuniting with friends," kind of gesturing to Lynx as they continue on. "But Yazmin and I aren't going to be making friendship bracelets anytime soon. I don't know what it is," as they kind of like absently start to poke at their own ice cream bowl, fidgeting a bit as they continue on, opening up to their roommates a little bit, saying, maybe she's just naturally curious, but she wants too much information. She pushes too hard to be in my business, and it just feels like there's something else going on there. I just don't trust it all yet. I'm sorry. Plus, I've barely tested it in the field, so let's make sure it continues to work for us before we howl it at the moon." As they all just continue to kind of snack and eat in silence for a little bit. Birdie's still seeming pretty pensive and trying to decide how much they want to open up to their roommates even, before kind of taking a deep breath and saying, "Also, I went and talked to some of the ferals a bit." Maya kind of choking on her ice cream at that and going, "You what?" Birdie continuing, or Lynx kind of asking first, "Wait, alone?" Birdie continuing on saying, "Yes, alone. I know I'm not the best fighter compared to even Maya at this point, but I don't know. They're not mindless killing machines like we saw that night with Vivian. That's the name of the woman that we ran into. I don't know. I spoke to them a bit, and they told me some things." Maya's starting to look a little more pale and nervous, asking, like, "What?" Birdie continuing on. Just general stuff about how strict the league can be and how they can twist their words to suit their own narrative. I just don't trust them wholeheartedly. And I don't trust the Pharaohs wholeheartedly either, of course, but the discrepancies between what I've heard from the two is enough to keep knowledge like this just between the three of us for now, okay? Lynx and Maya kind of nodding, definitely understanding and trying to process the kind of limited information that Birdie has provided them there. Lynx just trying to bring the mood up a little bit, though, as they were all having a pretty good time snacking and such and not wanting the night to go to waste as they think about more serious things like that. Lynx saying, well, regardless, this is really dope and we should celebrate. Axel's throwing a party tomorrow night, and I was probably not going to go because playing beer pong while only being able to watch my friends eat cheese puffs didn't sound like a great time to me. But now, Birdie kind of sighing and their spirits lifting at that as well, saying, oh, hell yes, I haven't been to a party in forever, and I deserve to let loose after all the work that I put into this. Lynx jumping out with it, saying, hell yeah, you do. Maya seeming a little nervous as they both look over at her, Birdie going, Maya, as Maya continues on, I don't know, Lynx looking a little incredulous and jumping in, saying, oh my god, come on, dork, you went to the club with us. Maya responding, yeah, but that's different. It's a public space. A party is private at someone's house where people know each other and there's way more expectation to actually mingle. Lynx is still not budging, though, and reminding her, hey, as you so often like to remind me, you beat me at that number gathering bet. Use your mind mojo and let people love you. As Maya still seems kind of nervous, though, and said, come on, that's the exact problem with that bet. I don't want to do that. It feels icky to reach into someone's mind and when they don't know that you're doing it in such a frivolous context like that anyways. As Birdie also continues to sort of push with their friend going, come on, when have I ever abandoned you at a party I've dragged you to in the past? I will be by your side the whole time, kid. Scout's honor. Maya saying, you promise? Birdie going, yep, cross my heart, babe, as she finally relents, saying, fine. Lynx sort of cheering in, fist pumping as well, as they make plans to head to Axel's party the next night, as everyone's working on their craft, of course, but Birdie is actually joining them for once, having figured out everything with Diana, not wanting to spend all of their time in the lab anymore, as Birdie is starting to kind of slowly improve on some of their sparring and stuff, as they did kind of win that spar, but still don't look super duper pleased with themselves. But Maya seeming excited and saying, like, see, you're you're definitely getting better. That was so much better than last time. Birdie going, all right, relax. I landed like one uppercut. It's fine. I don't need an uppercut to cut a rug tonight, which is all I'm focusing on, because boy, I could use a break. As Lena's finishing her meditation and Lynx and Blake are finishing their little sparring session as well, Lena asking, what do you mean? As Maya says, Lynx is dragging us to a party tonight. Lynx rolling her eyes and going, dragging Maya, taking Birdie. I'm sure Axel wouldn't mind if y'all crashed too, if you wanted to. Kind of throwing a little somewhat invitation to their other vampiric friends here as well, as they all kind of join the conversation circle over here, as Blake says, ooh, that sounds super duper fun, but we actually already have plans, looking over at Lena. As Lena kind of jumps up and down, excited, saying, yes, Blake is taking me to see that new animated film about bunnies. My sister and I had bunnies growing up, so I've been talking about it non-stop, as Blake kind of chuckles, nodding along, and saying, yes, but it's very cute, so how could I not? As Lena just kind of giggles and shakes her head, going, oh, my sister said she was free to come too, so I told her she could just meet us there. She's been super excited, and it's been forever since she came into town. As Blake kind of blushes a little bit at that, and his face falls a little as he says, oh, okay, cool, yeah, that sounds like fun. I didn't know you were inviting her, but I haven't seen her in a while either. It'll be fun to catch up. As Lena starts to look a little nervous, says, oh, no, I'm sorry, I could have sworn I asked. Oh my god, as her attention is kind of pulled towards the doorway as another member of the league that are Maya, Lynx, and Birdie have not really met before, but have seen around in the hallways every now and then, is entering looking pretty bruised and battered as well, a little bit upset, Lena, being the caring member, she is running over to him, saying, "Oh my God, Adam, are you all right?" As she goes over to kind of dote on him and figure out if he's okay with the the slashes and black eyes and such going on. As Birdie and Maya continue to kind of talk about the party, and with varying levels of excitement, but Maya's starting to get a little bit more excited about it as they all continue to talk about it a bit. Lynx kind of quietly leaning over to Blake as the other two are preoccupied with their conversation and saying, "When are you just gonna man up and actually ask her on a date?" As Blake starts to kind of blush again at that and go, Lynx saying, "Lena, why not just ask her on a proper date?" Blake kind of awkwardly and forcibly chuckling, saying, no, she just caught me off guard. We're just friends." Lynx going, "You always have been a bit dense." Blake just kind of decidedly ignoring her as, Adam here has gone. That's not Adam. As Adam here has kind of finished up his conversation with Lena. Lena's still looking very concerned, but more pleased with, or a little more at ease now that she's spoken to him as he gets to work on his own training there. Lena joining the conversation yet again as someone else has entered the room. Florence is heading into the training room. She hasn't been down here in quite a while, but Florence has headed in and interrupts the crew's conversation here as Florence also kind of throws a cursory glance at Adam, realizing that he looks pretty broken and battered as well, just like Joseph kind of told her. But Lena calls over to Florence, waving her over to the conversation, saying, "Oh, Florence, it feels like it's been forever." Florence saying, "Yeah, class sign-up's coming up, so I've been pretty busy. Is everything okay with Adam over there?" Having caught the tail end of Lena kind of stopping a conversation with him as she was entering the room. Lena answering, "Oh, yeah, no, I know he looks like super rough, but him and Joseph just got in a car crash, but he can go over the bloody details if you want. I cut him off on those. I'm so glad they both made it out with only a few bumps and scrapes, though." Florence taking in that information and kind of glancing over at Adam skeptically as well, so just somewhat skeptically humming, just, yeah. I don't mean to interrupt, but Maya, could I talk to you for a minute? As Maya kind of raises her eyebrows when Florence's attention has turned over to her, as Blake just kind of motions to her like, "Go ahead, we're done for today." Maya's saying, "Yeah, sure, I guess." As Florence nods along and says, "It'll only take a moment, then I'll let you kids get back to whatever, okay?" As Florence and Maya kind of leave the room, Maya seeming a little bit surprised, but not reluctant to go with Florence. It's been a little bit since she's spoken with her as well, and she does like Florence, so we'll let her, those two, usher on out of the room as Blake and Lynx are still sort of engaged in conversation over here. Hello, Maya? As everyone freezes in place. Hello? There we go. As Maya follows after Florence, and Blake kind of quietly leans over to Lynx and says, "I'll stop being dense when you do." Lynx kind of looking at him confused and just saying, "What?" As Blake just kind of chuckles and gets back to his own training, planning on taking things a little bit further than the rest of the recruits today, as we'll let them all continue their business and head upstairs as Florence has taken Maya on up to her office. Give me a second to get them up here. Ooh. To get both of them on up here. Maya's still a little bit confused, but going along with it as she follows Florence into her office. Florence just sort of ushering to one of the chairs as Maya says, "What's up?" Florence just going, take a seat, please." As Maya somewhat apprehensively takes a seat, a little on edge, just kind of confused exactly why Florence has requested this little private meeting with her. Florence taking a seat behind her own desk for comfort, mainly. There we go. Let's see if I put them both in conversation, if they'll stay in their seats or not. There we go. As Florence takes a deep breath and starts a conversation with her with, Maya just kind of noticing her reluctance to speak and a little bit of the sort of concern on Florence's face as Maya asks, is everything okay? Maya immediately starting to kind of worry that maybe she's done something wrong, as that's what her anxious brain jumps to. But Florence continuing on with, I'm not sure how to answer that, honestly. Maya, things are as okay as they can be at the moment, I think, but listen, I need to talk to you for a minute. Maya nodding as she seems even more concerned now. As Florence continues on, I know that you're a newer member, and we've only known each other a short time. But you've proven trustworthy and hardworking, really hardworking new member so far. I mean, the rate that you've been honing your skills is incredible, truly. Maya taking the compliment, but still wary of where this conversation's going, saying, thank you. Florence kind of chuckling as she rambles on another anecdote away from the main topic of conversation, briefly saying, I mean, you remind me of myself, actually. Not to sound boastful, but I was quite the fast learner when I was your age and winded up in the league as well. I guess Maya's just nervous. We'll let her stand. Florence continuing on, I also chose to focus on mental studies. You know, I have a theory that us vamps with cloudier eyes as opposed to the more bright, glowy, feisty ones tend to have affinity towards the mental arts, but that needs more testing before I start proudly proclaiming that fact publicly. Florence kind of sighing, getting caught up and reminiscing for a little bit before stealing her nerves again as she needs to continue on the conversation, kind of stepping out of her seat and coming around to the front of her desk to kind of lean against it as she continues to speak with Maya. Let's have them chat over there. As Florence continues on, growing more serious again with, I'm very impressed by you, Maya. You've shown great strength throughout the process so far, and maybe I'm a bit biased since you do remind me so much of my young self, but I feel like I can trust you, and I trust that you have a good heart. Maya wanting to accept the compliment again, but still not 100% sure where Florence is going with this, as she gives a more nervous, thank you? This time, Florence, looking down, kind of starting to fidget with her glasses, saying, I don't want to scare you, but I don't want you to be ignorant to this either. I regrettably don't have that many answers to give you either, but things are off right now. I don't know how exactly yet, but there's something at play that I can't quite put my finger on, and I'm worried that you and your friends, being the fresh blood that you are going to get caught up in it. Maya giving a big gulp at that as well, saying, caught up in what? Florence sighing and pulling off her glasses to clean them on the lapel of her shirt, continuing on, I wish I could tell you, but I don't think it's good, and I don't want any of that to happen to you either, even if I don't exactly know what's coming down the pipeline. Maya just sort of figuring that was more the end of it and saying, well, thank you for telling me. As Florence isn't quite done yet, though, continuing on. Knowing is one thing, to be able to make sure that you aren't in danger is another thing. I mastered the mental skill a long time ago, and I know that you're relatively early in your journey, but your mind is strong, Maya, and if you're alright with it, I would like to establish a mental link with you in case you ever need it. As Maya is a little confused, not really being familiar with the term, even if, she has been doing some training on vampire things. As, excuse me. One sec. Before I finish up this conversation so I don't choke in the middle of it. As, Maya asks, what does that mean? Florence can, moving on to explain that vampires, especially with mental fortitude, can establish a communication link with one another where they can send messages telepathically no matter where the other one is. Now, it isn't easy to maintain, and it can deplete a lot of energy, but I would make sure that I'm taking the brunt of that energy depletion. It won't hurt or anything. It'll just take an hour or so of deep concentration on both our parts. And it's not like I can read your mind or anything. Don't worry. Vampires can't read each other's minds no matter what. But it will be a communication channel whenever you specifically try and access it, or vice versa. That way you can get in touch with me within your own brain secretively if anything should happen to you or your friends, okay? Maya, seeming a little bit more scared, too, with all the talk of something happening to her friends, but understanding where Florence is coming from and feeling pretty comfortable and trusting of Florence at this point, too, and deciding to agree, just giving a simple nod with it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. As Florence kind of lets out somewhat relieved, but still somber sigh with, okay, I wish this wasn't the case, and hopefully we won't need to use it, but it'll at least be there if we do need to. As they kind of see their nerves, make plans to actually do the concentration ceremony needed to establish the mental links. Just pretend that there's like the house is filled with a bunch of people as we head into Axel's party. I have some people like on the lot. I don't know if they're gonna stick around though. We'll see. It's a bumpin' party, though. The house is filled as Lynx is confidently rolling up to her friend's house here with Birdie and Maya behind her, seeing Axel at the keg over here and heading straight over to him. Birdie confidently following along, Maya a little bit more apprehensive, but, you know, she agreed to be here, so she'll go along with it as Axel lights up, seeing Lynx. The two of them not having hung out too much in the past few weeks, of course. Lynx has had a lot of other things going on, as he greets her, hey, long time no see, sexy, as Lynx just rolls her eyes and says, shut up, asshole, I'm busy, unlike you, as she leans in and gives him a kiss. Lynx going, hey, Birdie, Maya, Axel, Birdie, Maya, as Axel kind of goes, yeah, no, I remember these two bros being there when I was helping you move in. Lynx going, right, yeah, I just figured you deserved a proper introduction since they're crashing your party with me. But Axel just kind of continuing on being like, oh, nah, it's all good, you can just pay me back for the +2 later, winking at her. Lynx going, yes, later is correct, because for now, Birdie, I believe you have a lot of boasting about some beer pong to live up to. As Birdie kind of lights up and says, oh, absolutely, I would never lie about that. Then walking off in, kind of dragging Maya along here as I kind of get into the party spirit with the night kind of going on for a little bit so far. It's, gotta show up fashionably late, of course. There we go, the party's kind of starting. Look at the mascots kind of cheering them on. As we'll just let them kind of like get into the partying and stuff, having a good time as the night's going on. Maya kind of getting into it a little bit as well. I don't know why there's a toddler at the party, but Axel, sure. Yeah, everyone kind of getting into the party spirit. Maya at least sort of cheering on Birdie here, grabbing a drink herself as the three of them sort of get settled in, start to loosen up a little bit, just having a plenty fun time most of the night, going through stuff, playing plenty of games of beer pong until all three of them are sufficiently, at the very least, pretty tipsy. And such as, after plenty of proving themselves in beer pong, Birdie has sort of ventured on inside as Lynx is kind of trying to show Maya the ropes next, though, and see if she has any skill in beer pong, making plenty of jabs about her klutziness along the way, as Birdie's kind of ended up talking to this redhead over here a lot after heading into the kitchen and running into her after grabbing a drink, and, it's been a while for Birdie heading out to a party, relaxing. They've been in the lab a lot lately. And so it's been a while since Birdie's had like a fun random hookup, and hey, this lady seems pretty into it, and so these two just been flirting the night away for quite a while, most of the time here. As we got some of the cheer squad. Oh, some of the cheer squad showing up as well. As the night gets kind of colder, the other two sort of entering inside as well. Just generally doing party stuff, of course, until it's the point. Lynx is just kind of sectioned off with some of her friends over here, sitting and chatting. And Birdie is still kind of flirting with the redhead, noticing that Maya's just kind of sectioned herself off alone in the kitchen for a little bit, though, as the redhead is just absolutely enamored by everything that Birdie is saying. I mean, they know how to be a flirt when they need to be, of course. Actually, kind of leaning close to Birdie and saying, "So I hear Axel's coat closet's pretty roomy." Birdie giving a plenty flirty smile back and saying, "Oh, really now?" The redhead saying, "I mean, if you want to come check it out with me," as Birdie kind of chuckles along, you know, kind of brushing her cheek with her hand and saying, "That sounds fantastic, baby, but maybe next time," as they sort of look over at Maya, not seeming to seem upset, but definitely all alone over in the kitchen there. The redhead, going, "Oh, really?" As Birdie says, "Yes, you are incredibly sexy, but I am a good friend first and foremost." As the redhead just kind of chuckles at that and says, "All right, I respect that. Well, I'll be hanging out over by the bedroom if you change your mind." Kind of giving them a wink as she carries on her way. Birdie making their way on over to Maya and striking up a conversation as Maya seems surprised that Birdie's kind of left their little flirtmance over there to come talk to her. As Maya's still nursing a drink herself, Birdie pouring themselves another one, and now in the kitchen here. Let me just get them into toast, sure. Let me just get them into conversation here as Birdie leans over and looks at Maya's pretty empty glass going, "Oh my god, are you on drink 3? Are you turning into a proper party here, Maya?" Maya just rolling her eyes at her best friend saying, "It's just helping me loosen up, but why are you back over here by me? I know I'm bad at picking up signs, but I do believe that girl was giving you bedroom eyes." As Birdie is like, "Oh yeah, she absolutely was. You know I have game, but I told you I'm not leaving your side tonight. That's how you agreed to come on out here." As Maya kind of looks a little bit sheepish, staring down and fidgeting with her drink and saying, thinking for a minute, but saying, "Birdie, you don't have to do that for me." As Birdie just is like, hush. Maya continuing, "No, really, you've been working so much lately, and you did something incredible. You deserve to let out some stress and have some fun." I actually cancel this party, so maybe they'll start interacting more normally. As Birdie kind of retorts, "I am having fun." Maya continuing on, though, with, that kind of fun, gesturing over to Busty Redhead, still kind of making eyes at Birdie every time they look over towards the bedroom door there. Continuing on, "You usually have another party goer in your bed every other week, and it's been like 2 months since some random person's been slinking out our door when we get up." And Birdie starts to kind of protest again, going, "Yeah, but," as Maya cuts them off once more, saying, "No, go, have fun." Birdie is still seeming kind of skeptic, but looking over at the redhead and saying, "Seriously?" As Maya says, "Yes, seriously, I can give you permission to leave my side. I promise I'm actually feeling alright and not too anxious and sort of having fun at a party for once. We can hang out later when we're both sober and can have a popcorn for movie night again, thank God. Okay?" As Birdie still seems a little bit nervous about it, but, wanting to trust Maya here. "Oh, we're not going to be doing that in public at a party, no Sims." As Birdie goes, "Okay, only if you're sure." Maya saying, "Yes, I will be mad at you if you don't leave me for that absolutely stunning woman and that is propositioning you right now." As Birdie's like, "Okay, fine, only if you insist. And you say you're a bad wing woman," as Birdie gives her a little kiss on the cheek and heads on off towards the redhead, who's still kind of motioning them over, and Maya kind of shaking her head and chuckling at Birdie as they trot on off into the bedroom with the redhead there. And Maya kind of like looking around the party for a little bit, not lying to Birdie, genuinely wanting them to have fun, and her not having too bad of a time at the party for once either. Kind of noticing Lynx seeming pretty animated in a boisterous conversation with her friend over there. Maya doesn't really see any other familiar faces populating the house and decides to just kind of go slink in and take a seat next to Lynx, who's just kind of laughing, drinking, trading anecdotes with this man over here and some of their other friends that are sort of hanging around and such. Lynx sort of throwing like a brief little smile at Maya as she sees her come settle in at the little chair next to Lynx herself. As the two continue to kind of banter and chat and stuff, commenting on the show that's on the television every now and then. As eventually the man in the studded jacket here turns towards Maya and is like, "So, Lynx, who's this?" As Lynx just takes a big gulp from her drink and says, "She can speak for herself." As Maya seems a little bit startled by being addressed, kind of happy to be the wallflower in the conversation and just sit there and let the two catch up. Maya responding, though, saying, "Oh, I'm Maya, nice to meet you." As the man's like, "Razor, she's a new friend of yours? Of yours? Really?" Kind of giving Maya the sort of judgy, once-over look that she remembers Lynx giving her herself when Lynx was first moving in, suddenly making Maya feel a lot more on display and a lot more unsettled than she's been the whole party. Her face falling even more as she hears Lynx kind of bark out a laugh as Razor says that. Lynx saying, "No, she's just the nerd that I've been living with these days." Maya's face definitely falling even more at that and kind of glancing down into her cup, sort of surprised at how much it seems to have cut her hearing Lynx say that, as Lynx continues on drinking more herself and saying, "Just trying to loosen up this press by dragging her out on the town over here tonight, you know?" As Razor's face starts to light up again, seeming a lot more understanding, like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes way more sense." As Lynx kind of laughs along with his comments too, Maya effectively just kind of coiling back into herself, no longer really feeling in the party spirit here, as she does stand up and the kind of three-drink tipsy courage feeling behind her, as she feels herself feeling a bit irritated and sort of aggressively slamming her now empty soda cup down on the coffee table and saying, "Yeah, no, she simply helps pay the bills, but we agreed right away to just avoid one another because we can't even be in the same room without arguing." Which, speaking of, if you'll excuse me, as she kind of tries to keep it under wraps, but does definitely angrily stomp on off out the front door. Lynx really seeming taken aback at the sudden aggression that Maya is starting to show there, and a little surprised because it's been a long time since she's seen Maya kind of react like that. Also, since that night that she really ringed her out outside of the lair the first time they were introduced to it. Lynx also surprising herself a little bit at how concerned she seems, a little confused by exactly what the hell just happened there, as the Razor kind of looks at her and shakes his head and says, "Yo, you were right, she is uptight. How do you deal with that?" Lynx still kind of looking concerned as she sees that Maya's left through the front door instead of heading to like the bathroom or anything, as Lynx says, "Yeah, I don't really, I just kind of avoid her," like she said. "Hey, this spear's gone through me mighty quick, so I'm gonna head to the bathroom real quick and probably make my rounds, so catch you later, buddy." As Lynx also puts her cup down a little less aggressively and more hastily and scurries out the door. Oh, pretend it is still nighttime. So I'm just gonna start getting light out, but shh, it's not morning in canon yet. Lynx heading on out onto the porch, seeing that Maya is still stomping away, as Lynx calls out after her, yelling, "Maya," as she sees that Maya's not really, doesn't look like she's planning on stopping anytime soon, as Maya does stop hearing her name yelled, though, a bit farther away from the party now. And turning around to face Lynx, who's looking pretty incredulously at her, confused by whatever just happened there. Lynx continuing on, shrugging, saying, Maya, wait, where the hell are you going? As Maya just kind of glares at her and says, I'm going home. What does it look like? Should have never gone out here anyway. Why do you even care? Lynx kind of not really knowing exactly how to respond to that and saying, we were just in there having fun and shooting the shit and then you stormed out. What gives? Maya just staring at her for a moment before saying, are you serious? Lynx genuinely looking confused and just shrugging again. Let's get them into an argument. As Maya's face twists up in anger once again, saying, oh my god, what? Whatever. You know what, your uptight roommate just has to go home super early, so she, because it's her bedtime, yeah, so she needs to make, got a bedtime I need to make, so no more fun for her, you know, so just go back to your friends, alright? As Maya moves to turn around again, though, and Lynx continues to call out after her, though, saying, shut up, nerd, you haven't had a bedtime since we became nocturnal. Maya just laughing almost incredulously, and almost kind of just speaking to herself at this point, saying, I mean, I knew Birdie and I were smarter than you, but Jesus Christ, Lynx. So I guess I'm not better, because I actually thought that going out with your cooler, edgier friends would be a good time, but no. Of course, I don't fit into your image here. As Lynx is kind of falling into her usual response of getting defensive and arguing back with Maya, saying, oh, please, get off your high horse and stop acting like there weren't other losers like you in there. Maya is snapping at that and saying, stop calling me a nerd and a loser and whatever the hell else you call me. Why do you try and humiliate me every sentence since the first time that we spoke? Lynx kind of seeming a little bit shocked at that snap at her as well and saying, how am I humiliating you when other people rarely even hear? Maya effectively ignoring whatever Lynx's defense is and continuing on, God, of course! You've just been playing nice the past few weeks because we agreed we would keep things civil so our living situation would be tolerable and nothing more. Helping poor little inept Maya, the little charity case, as Lynx starts to cool down a tiny bit herself as Maya continues to ramble on, trying to defend herself, but Maya's not really deterred even as Lynx tries to interject with it. That's not... Maya just continuing on yelling at her though. So that's on me, really, for thinking that you weren't as much of a bitch as I thought you were when you first showed up on my porch, for actually thinking that we were... As Maya just kind of cuts herself off and pinches her nose before turning around to leave again. Lynx noticing her eyes start to kind of glow as Maya's losing a little bit more control of what she's doing, but seeming to try and to calm herself down as she moves to walk away again. Lynx calling out after her, not really wanting Maya to just kind of walk across campus late at night alone and saying, you're at least stupid enough to start walking all the way across campus in the middle of the night alone. As Maya kind of turns around to snarl at her again, saying, I'm sure I'll be able to handle myself just fine, Lynx. If anyone tries to attack me, I can just let this anger out and bite them now like a wild animal. Lynx, surprised at not really hearing this sort of anger at their vampiric situation in quite a while, a little surprised that it's bubbled to the surface again, as Lynx says, don't act like you don't think what we can do now is badass, like you haven't been getting into it too. Maya stopping dead in her tracks at that and slowly walking back towards Lynx at those words, now seeming the kind of incredulous and confused one, and as she's speaking, Lynx realizing that her eyes are starting to glow more and more and her skin starts to pale. Maya's voice dropped quite a few decibels as she gets quite close to Lynx, fully transforming into dark form and just saying, no. I've been honing these skills because I don't know what else to do other than learn to keep them under control. I'm working with the League because they're actually nice to me and have actually tried to become my friends. I am invested in improving my abilities because studying this and mastering this is the only way I can feel like I'm at least accomplishing something and not cry myself to sleep every night about how twisted my life is now. Don't think for a second that any of my leaning into this out of necessity means that I've gotten over the fact that I'm a fucking monster now because of you. Lynx kind of cowering down a little bit as the two get into a bit of a staring contest. Lynx's eyes starting to glow a little bit herself as she's getting worked up, but sorrow more so just kind of overcoming her, as for one of the first times in Lynx's life, she's the one to first break eye contact and heated stare down like that. Maya huffing out and trying to kind of calm herself down, but not necessarily succeeding as she turns around and starts to head home again, but Lynx not really calling out and trying to stop her again. This time, as Birdie kind of makes her way on out to the porch and sees Maya walking off into the distance, as Lynx kind of stands there a little bit dumbfounded, watching Maya continue on into the distance somewhere. This direction, sure. As Birdie, kind of confused, walks over to Lynx here, saying, "Do I need to punch you or someone else?" Lynx is still a little bit taken aback and saying, "I guess me, but I don't really know why." As Birdie just raises their eyebrows, saying, "Really?" Lynx going, "Really? We were having a good time and she just flew off the handle." Birdie saying, "Well, she's usually not that emotional, so what happened?" As Birdie kind of leads the two of them back up onto the porch to sit down on the bench there and have a little chat. Lynx starting to explain, "Well, we were just chatting with Razor, and I was talking about the last bonfire we were at, and Maya was being quiet. He asked who my friend was. She introduced herself. I told him she was the nerd I'm living with, and then she stormed off and yelled at me about how she's stupid for thinking this would be a good time, that how she's a fucking monster because of me, which, trust me, I know, and still feel plenty shitty about, even if the super strength is badass, and I'm not gonna act like it doesn't have some perks with it, like that." Birdie taking in the information and then being able to speak Maya pretty well at this point, saying, "So, your friend asked who your new friend was, and your response was to point out how she's some random nerd you're forced to shack up with?" As Lynx starts to look a little bit more sheepish, hearing Birdie put it like that before saying, I call her nerd all the time. That's what she is. She's my nerdy roommate that I wanted to have a good time with because she's so anxious and sad all the time." As Birdie just kind of chuckles and shakes her head, saying, "You're an idiot." Lynx going, "Me?" As Birdie continues on, "Yeah, I mean, she's clearly gotten used to you calling her nerd, but you doing it in front of all your scary badass friends is gonna hit a little different." Lynx just still trying to just defend herself, saying, "It's how I always refer to her. I just didn't think anything of it." As Birdie kind of gets down to brass tacks and asks, "Is Maya your friend?" Lynx kind of stammering a bit, not exactly knowing how to answer that, as she says, I mean, I asked her to come out here. I've been helping her train. We spend most days together at the league now. I thought that was a little implied." As Birdie kind of just sighs and says, "Look, Maya is incredibly smart, one of the smartest people I know, but she's also incredibly dumb, and implied doesn't really work with her. She might have started to think that you were her friend for the same reasons, but if you aren't willing to admit it in a crowded party, why would she continue to think so?" Lynx starting to kind of calm down and trying to put some of the defensiveness at bay a little bit before looking down, kind of shuffling her feet in the against the wood of the porch there, saying, "It's not how I meant it. I jab at all of my friends. I called Axel an asshole when we showed up." Birdie saying, "Yeah, but you also call him your fun friend. You've only been abrasive with Maya since the start, and there's no way she's been able to pinpoint exactly what you think of her these days. Just talk to her and things will be fine, I promise." As Lynx kind of continues on, looking a little bit more pained and saying, "But the talking and the feelings aren't really my strong suit. I usually just continue to be abrasive until people leave me alone and I don't have to have those talks." Birdie kind of giving a mothering look at Lynx and being like, I mean, you just had one with me, kinda. As Lynx kind of has to give that one to Birdie, but not really willing to admit that out loud. As Lynx just says, I'm just riled up in the beer pong cups are starting to take a toll. Birdie going ahead and saying, then take a shot before you talk to her tomorrow. Now, I'm going to go head back inside because that delicious redhead, I believe, would like to take me home, and continuing this romp is something I'm very much interested in. Lynx kind of thinking for a second as Birdie gets up and saying, yeah, you probably shouldn't really refer to humans as delicious anymore. Birdie kind of going, oh, har har, as Lynx looks off into the distance, still being able to see like at least a small faint pink dot in the distance that is Maya, asking a bit more earnestly, do you think she'll be okay? Birdie going, Maya? Lynx nodding in response as Birdie continues, she'll be fine. I'm sure she's just headed straight home and will take the most public pass, but I'll text her and do a quick check around the campus perimeter before I head back to the house whenever I, do leave. Whenever me and Strawberry Shortcake are done, okay? Ignore Lynn being there. As, Lynx says, yeah, okay, sounds good, have fun. Birdie going, oh, I will, and don't chicken out of smoothing things over with Maya, because if she remains hurt, I will have to hurt you in turn, whether we're friends now or not. Birdie kind of winking at Lynx and heading back inside as Lynx lets out a huge sigh of her own, continuing to kind of kick her feet in the proverbial dirt, having a hard time admitting maybe she is the one who fucked up a little bit herself, but knowing that Birdie is probably right about everything. The lair here, as it is late at night still, while some people are partying, we have Clementine over here, who's been looking a little bit more gaunt and weak lately. She just seems like a little bit more drained and almost bored than usual, as it's late at night. She's kind of cautiously making her way in here, looking at Hero as he's continuing to look pretty bruised and beat up, even more so than last time she came to give him a blood pouch, almost seeming taken aback at how much he's really been kind of beaten up in here, as she says, oh, what did they do to you now? As Hero even is kind of breathing a bit more labored as he responds, I don't know, can you please get me some blood, it'll help so much. Clementine nodding and grabbing one of the pouches that she's sort of hidden in a secret stash in the room. One of the pouches from Aster, of course, with the genuine stuff in it, handing it to him, him quickly and eagerly sucking it down. Sorry, bad time for hiccups. As Clementine just seems kind of fixated on him as he ravages like this, blood and drinks it down pretty fast. Stop it, Sims. As he kind of notices the way that she's really just staring at the way he's drinking that and says, Aster sends plenty with you, and your visits are more scarce lately, though there's plenty stocked up over there. Clementine, mainly picking up on the mention of her scarcer visits, going, yeah, sorry, it's gotten harder to make it down here unnoticed, and I think I'm sick or something. I've just been a little out of it. As Hero kind of chuckles and says, you're not sick. You're jonesing. As Clementine goes, what? Wait on blood? As Hero smugly nods and Clementine looks down thinking, I only had one sip. As Hero says, that's all it takes for your body to recognize what it's been missing. Clementine kind of pondering that for a while and remembering like just how revitalized and powerful she really felt last time she took even just a sip of his pouches. She makes the decision, nope, you're tied to the chair, you can't stand up. As she makes the decision to kind of take Hero's suggestion and go over to the secret stash and grab a pouch for herself, pausing only a moment before quickly and eagerly sucking down a full pouch of blood this time. Herself immediately starting to feel better and feeling that, sort of surge of energy and power and revitalization course through her veins again, but tenfold now that it's more than just a little sip of Hero's remains there. Hero kind of chuckling and saying, good girl, as Clementine goes, don't. Shutting that down immediately as Dmitri actually materializes into the room in his bat form as he's wont to do, immediately kind of making Clementine run a bit more pale than she was, kind of crushing the pouch and hiding it behind her, throwing it onto the table as quickly as she can, as Dimitri's fiery gaze turns to her and says, I thought I sensed an unscheduled disturbance down here. Clementine, kind of scared at first, but trying to steel herself, really feeling more and more powerful as the blood is kind of starting to get into her digestive tract a little more, and it's really kind of fueling her, and she ends up transforming into her dark form, whether it's a combination of blood and the feelings, or more one than the other. Dmitri doesn't really blink an eye at her transformation, of course, besides to maybe scowl at it a little bit more as he says, "Don't front on me, child, it won't go well. What the hell are you doing down here?" As Clementine boldly responds back to him, "Visiting my prisoner," as Dmitri takes another threatening step towards her and says, "That's not allowed anymore," as he sort of moves to reach for her, but she kind of almost instinctually deflects and pushes his hands away, which is even more than a verbal verbally disobeying him. Definitely a big no-no, as he sort of reaches out and without even touching her, using some kind of force that Clementine's never really seen the likes of before, just throwing her out the door and slamming her against the wall as her body goes a bit limp outside of the room, fueling some of her anger a little bit more, but mainly just shocking her. She's never really seen a vampire be able to do something like that before, be able to use powers without even make a physical reaction without even making physical contact like that, as Dmitri flies on out and slams Clementine's body up against the wall by her throat, starting to choke her as he continues to talk as she claws at his hands, going, "You're always so insubordinate, Clementine. You're not even half as clever as you think you are, but maybe if you kept your mouth shut once in a while, you'd learn. I have half a mind to just crush your windpipe right now just to prove a point." As Clementine is gasping for air, but able to kind of growl out, "You wouldn't," as Dmitri drops her again, her body going limp against the ground once more as she gasps, trying to regain some of her breath, as he says, "No," kind of casually, nonchalantly dusting off the cuffs of his coat as he continues, "Your idiotic brother would ask questions if I did. Then again, he didn't seem to care much last time I took your voice. Stay away from here, or it's the last time I'm going to grant you any kind of mercy." As he flies away and back into the room yet again. Clementine, pretty rattled, as it's the most severe reaction she's seen from Dmitri, and one of the most intense displays of power that she's ever really seen, even at her time at the League, truly, as she is still in dark form, as the anger continues to course through her, kind of frustratedly stomps outside of the building. As the moon is still high in the sky, plenty dark at night. Clementine, not exactly sure what to make of everything that just happened, but knowing she's feels embarrassed and disrespected and frustrated, that she continues to kind of get the short end of the stick, even as she knows that Dmitri can be a difficult man to deal with, but that just seemed excessive. As she makes her way outside, get her a little more angry and less sad, too. There we go. Oh yeah, eyes ablaze as she stomps on out of the Lairs, the administration building headquarters, intending to make her way to a certain someone, but actually no need for her, as a certain someone has already made their way over here to this side of campus for once, as Clementine runs into Aster near the edge of this side of campus, on closer to the path than usually most of the ferals tend to roam, but Aster kind of looks surprised seeing her rush out so irate, as it's written all over her face. Aster saying, "Huh, Clementine, just who I was looking for," as Clementine is still huffing, regaining her breath and trying to gain some kind of composure, as she says, "Yeah, well, good, you're just who I was going to find too." Aster raising an eyebrow and asking, "Oh?" as Clementine sort of speaks to herself for a second, going, I stayed because I didn't want to abandon Caesar because he's all I have left, really, but it's pretty clear that I don't even still have him. As Aster pushes a little bit more, excitement starting to boil underneath her expression as she asks, so what are you saying? As Clementine takes a deep breath and looks Aster directly in the eyes and says, I want to join your pack. As Aster, an evil smile creeps across Aster's face, quite pleased at hearing that information. We're back at the house as it's waning into early hours of the morning at this point, and Maya has made her way back to the house a while ago, but Lynx has made her way back at this point as well, and has kind of been pacing around in the kitchen for a while, assuming that Maya has ventured up to her room, but not really knowing for sure, but finally, nerves kind of getting the better of her and wanting to go check on Maya, coming on up with a little glass of water and a couple of aspirin, and seeing that Maya is just kind of fast asleep still in her party clothes on her bed over there. Lynx just kind of awkwardly sitting the aspirin and water on Maya's bedside table, lingering for a moment, not exactly sure what to do because feeling pretty shitty about how everything went down now that she is kind of sobering up and realizing more and more that she definitely was kind of the asshole in that situation, and not really knowing what to do and figuring Maya seemed, inebriated enough too. She doesn't really want to disturb her either, but just ending up deciding to just kind of pull the blankets like a little bit further over Maya as she sleeps, trying to not wake her as Lynx fidgets for a second before kind of just stealing herself and quietly making her way out of the room, as she kind of makes it to the door before hearing Maya stir just a little bit, catching Lynx's attention. She turns back around for one moment as Maya kind of rolls over a little bit in her sleep and just mumbles out as she's still resting, thank you, Birdie, as Lynx debates for a second, maybe correcting her, but figuring maybe it's better if she doesn't and just lets Maya rest, as she figures Maya's definitely still pretty pissed off at her as well, but knowing she's gonna have to figure out how to have a kind of awkward conversation she doesn't want to have in the morning at least, and heading out to get some rest for herself. Birdie has had quite a night, had lots of fun, but as promised to Lynx, they are just doing a quick little check around the perimeter of campus, really quick, to make sure that they don't find Maya or Maya's body out there anywhere at any point, just to kind of make sure that, she did head home, since Maya hadn't really responded to any texts yet, even though Birdie assumes that she passed out. But, doing a cursory check around campus really quick, as Birdie kind of is drunkenly, wandering around to make their way back home themselves, kind of wandering by the feral side of campus, though even a little less scared at this point, just because, they've realized that the ferals are maybe not as automatically dangerous. Aster comes on up behind Birdie here, and throws a quick, oh, hey, at them, just not expecting to see them out there, and just so startled and so just kind of in their own head as they were thinking about Maya and stuff. They just really jump, and it makes their heart beat so fast that it just kind of scares the dark form out of them, since it was kind of a lot of emotion that popped up. Birdie kind of even laughing at themselves and being like, oh god, it's just you, sorry. As Aster's I didn't mean to startle you. Birdie going, no, it's fine, goodness, guess this thing's a little looser when I'm a bit intoxicated. Not necessarily, expecting that they would have less control over the dark form coming out at this point, but, those, there are quite a few drinks in at this point. Aster also seeming a little bit more taken aback by Birdie's dark form, not having seen it yet, and staring intensely at it as they talk, and, Aster says, no, it's all good. Keep it out for a little bit. As Birdie doesn't really think about it, just kind of quipping back as they usually do, oh, I thought I'd been buying me dinner first. Aster kind of, just sort of examining Birdie's, appearance in this light, as Aster kind of comments, you have a really unique dark form. Birdie saying, why, thank you, I am one of a kind. Aster saying, yeah, most vampires don't usually have scarring like that without a few years of battle. You could probably do some damage with that thing, I think. Why were you out here so late? As Birdie says, I just headed home from a party, wanted to do a quick perimeter check, make sure my friend wasn't out here somewhere. So she didn't respond to my text. She's probably just in bed, but I just wanted to check, you know. Aster's still nodding and kind of skeptically looking almost in awe, like, over at Birdie's appearance at this point, as Birdie starts to feel like a little bit on display and scrutinized at this point, and not really seeing any reason to stick around much longer, saying, well, kind of trying to focus their brain a little bit, enough at least to hide the dark form themselves as they make their way past some more, you know, vampire-friendly areas of campus, saying, I should probably be getting back before sunrise. I will catch you on the flip side. Aster? Was that your name? Aster going, yes. I will speak with you later. Birdie kind of throwing a peace sign, heading on out back towards home. Aster is still standing there deep in thought as she watches them walk off. Sienna kind of coming out of the shadows and over to Aster, trying to find her for a little bit as she sort of tries to launch into it immediately, going, so, I found the roster of everyone registered this fall that had a hard time, but it's hard time to narrow it down to just people who, as Aster cuts her off, saying, don't bother. Sienna is startled at being interrupted and going, excuse me, mother? As Aster goes, I think I may have just found our solution. And so we will leave them there to discuss that. I guess I can leave the camera on them for a second. And that is where we will end our episode for tonight, as we got lots set up to play for a very dramatic and intense finale. I promise it's going to be a good one. You don't want to miss it. And I've had lots of plans for a while. A lot of fun with this episode. It was nice and dramatic, and I thought it went off well. And trust me, the finale is going to be even crazier, so I hope to see you there for that. Thank you for being here tonight for this. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here and supporting me as always. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night and a beautiful rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you all later. Mwah! Nighty night, kitties.